Hi friends, welcome to this edition of techVIDEO. There is a very, I would say, limited knowledge about what ad fraud is and its implications across, I would say, multiple functions of a brand. We are still having a myopic view of ad fraud and we feel only the digital marketing function gets affected due to it, and it's only digital marketers who must be aware about it. But we have seen over the period of time how ad fraud is engulfing the entire functions of a business, and it's having very deep and far-reaching implications with adverse impact. Today I want to talk about how ad fraud and smartphones are very closely associated and interlinked, and how smartphones are getting affected by these ad fraud. So I would say there are four major implications of ad fraud. Number one is the brand safety. In a previous video also, I had referred to how brand safety is getting impacted and how ad fraud plays a critical role in it. Similarly, for a smartphone brand, if ad fraud is not addressed and arrested, it is but natural that it will result in a major brand safety issue at some point of time. So that's number one impact of ad fraud. The second impact of ad fraud on smartphones is the experience that a user is supposed to get over a smartphone. We have seen that all major smartphone brands have moved from talking about specifications to experience. And there are instances where we have seen and identified how ad fraud is impacting experience of a smartphone user. Now, as an example, these ads are getting displayed, or even the frauds, various kinds of frauds played by these malicious codes, which are there in most of the smartphones, does impact the overall experience. So it results in, say, slowdown of the phone. It results in kind of, I would say, the smartphone misbehaving to a user. Many a times, many of you must have encountered one or the other such situation. The third impact we have, in fact, a recent study has also, international study has also established that fact, is how ad fraud is responsible for eating up various resources of a smartphone. For instance, the battery. The study recently done has shown how ad fraud kind of drains the battery of a smartphone, and definitely it does not give user what is expected out of a smartphone. And finally, there is the major concern is of privacy. Now, the way, or I would say the chain through which ad fraud is taking place using smartphones is and could be exploited for various data privacy issues. So the same chain or channel could be exploited to literally kind of to hack a smartphone and get all the details, including very private and confidential data of a user without the knowledge of a user. Now remember, you may feel that for any app you install, you have a lot of permissions which you have to kind of, you have a right to decide about them. But even then, if you say that you don't want a particular permission to be given to an app, there is no way out. The app won't go further, go beyond. So that's the fourth major impact of ad fraud on smartphones. Now, in my opinion, what is required is a lot of transparency in the entire value chain rather than, I would say, accountability. Now, why I am saying we need a more of transparency is because a user must have a right to know what kind of APKs and SDKs have been burnt on a smartphone, which, on the face of it, look that they have been installed because of, say, bringing in one or the other experience or a value add to a smartphone user, potential user. But in the same app, now remember, these apps may or may not have a kind of face to show up. Now, what I mean by that is, you may not find such kind of apps on your smartphone at all. These will be hidden. They will not be having any screen to show up, to screen to display up. So these will be kind of SDKs and APKs which will be residing on your smartphone, and you will have no way of reaching out to them. But they will be doing their work, which includes stealing your data, bringing a lot of inefficiency in your device, and above all, taking your experience for a toss. So as consumers, I think we all have to wake up. We have a right to ask the industry, entire value chain, what kind of things are getting preloaded, and there should be an explicit way. It should be, in fact, made mandatory that these things are explicitly passed on to a user, that such and such APK SDK is installed and it is supposed to do this kind of particular function. And there should be some randomized test, a third-party neutral agency which will certify and randomly keep on checking devices for any of such, kind of deviations from what has been stated. I think this is becoming increasingly a major issue, and we need to address it as soon as possible. This is something what I wanted to share with you today. Do share your feedback, keep on engaging with us, and would request you all to subscribe to our YouTube channel and do share it across your social networking channels and help us to spread the word. Thanks a lot for watching today's tech video. Goodbye.